What's up, everybody? Welcome back to NASCAR World News, the channel that brings you the fastest, freshest, and most fired-up stories in motorsport. I'm your host, and today, oh boy, today we've got a story that had the entire racing world talking. YouTube sensation and automotive legend Cleetus McFarland made his NASCAR O'Reilly Auto Parts Series debut at Rockingham Speedway, and let me tell you, it was one of the most chaotic, dramatic, and entertaining debut stories we have ever seen in recent NASCAR memory. Spins, close calls, a NASCAR penalty, his own teammate taking him out, and somehow he crossed the finish line. Buckle up, let's break down everything that went down at the Rock. Now, if you're a hardcore NASCAR fan, you might be asking, who exactly is Cleetus McFarland and why does he belong in a NASCAR race? Great question. His real name is Garrett Mitchell, and he's built one of the biggest automotive YouTube channels in the world, over 4.6 million subscribers, through his love of muscle cars, drag racing, and his famous Freedom Factory racetrack in Florida. But Cleetus isn't just a guy who talks about cars, he races them, and recently he set his sights on the highest levels of motorsport. His NASCAR journey took a major step forward when he announced a deal with Richard Childress Racing, one of NASCAR's most storied and legendary organizations, to compete in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series on a part-time basis. Guys, I can't believe I get to say this, but I'm officially a driver at Richard Childress Racing for the O'Reilly Series, McFarland wrote on social media. This wasn't his absolute first NASCAR rodeo either. Back in February, McFarland made his NASCAR Truck Series debut at Daytona International Speedway, but it ended on lap 6 when he lost control exiting turn 4 and crashed, finishing last in a 37-truck field. So, heading into Rockingham, the pressure was on. Could he do better? Could he prove he belonged? Well, the answer is complicated. The buzz heading into Rockingham was electric. Fans were pumped. The NASCAR community was watching closely, but not everyone was giving Cleetus a warm welcome. Veteran crew chief Rodney Childers, while acknowledging that NASCAR needs the publicity and personalities Cleetus brings, wasn't exactly confident. A future Hall of Famer connected to Childers gave a blunt assessment. It'll be a miracle if he finishes the race. Veteran driver Travis Quavell echoed similar concerns, saying the racing conditions at Rockingham are brutal even for experienced players, and Cleetus was making essentially just his second career start in NASCAR's top series. The race itself, the North Carolina Education Lottery 250, was broadcast live on the CW network, meaning millions of eyes were on McFarland from the very first lap. Oh, and here's the thing that made this day even more impressive, or more insane depending on how you look at it. McFarland didn't just race the O'Reilly Series event, he also ran the ARCA Maynard's East Series race earlier the same day at Rockingham. The man was putting in a full day of racing. Respect. Alright, here's where it gets good. McFarland started 35th in the field, and it didn't take long for things to get wild. Just 4 laps in, McFarland made a daring move, putting his car on the bottom of a 3-wide situation entering turn 1. The car slid completely sideways, and somehow he made a remarkable save and kept it off the wall. The crowd went absolutely nuts. That right there was a highlight reel moment. But those close calls kept coming. On lap 49, Blake Lothian spun directly in front of McFarland in turn 2. More heart-stopping moments, more white-knuckle driving. By the end of stage 1, McFarland was 35th and 1 lap down. By stage 2, he was 33rd and 2 laps down. He was fighting hard, but the pace of these O'Reilly Series cars was clearly something else compared to what he was used to. And then, the moment that's making headlines across the internet, the penalty. Early in Stage 3, NASCAR hit McFarland with a pit road speeding penalty. It sent him to the back of the pack, and he was running around 30th at the time. Now, speeding on pit road is one of those classic NASCAR mistakes that even veterans make, but for a rookie making his series debut, that's a tough pill to swallow. One mistake in the pits, and suddenly you're fighting even harder just to stay in the same zip code as the leaders. If that wasn't enough, on lap 206, McFarland's number 33 Richard Childress Racing Chevrolet broke loose coming out of turn 3, slid to the bottom of the track, and spun back into traffic, bringing out the 7th caution flag of the race. Chaos. Pure chaos. But wait, It gets even wilder. Late in the race, McFarland was spun out by his own RCR teammate Austin Hill. Let that sink in. You're already having the race from hell. You've been penalized, you've spun out, your lap's down, and then your own teammate collects you. That's the kind of day that would make most people want to park the car, walk to the infield, and never look at a racetrack again. But Cleetus, he kept going. "That might be the hardest thing I've ever done in my life," McFarland said over the team radio after crossing the finish line. And, I mean, you believe him. This man went from YouTube videos and burnout competitions to running a full NASCAR O'Reilly Series race after already completing an ARCA East race earlier the same morning. That's an insane amount of racing in one day. So, when the checkered flag flew at Rockingham, here's where Cleetus McFarland ended up. 32nd place, 3 laps down, a speeding penalty on his record, spun out by a teammate, and yet he finished. And don't overlook what he did before the big race either. McFarland finished 4th in the ARCA East race at Rockingham, a career-best result in any NASCAR-sanctioned event. The man had a legitimately strong showing in his first race of the day. After the race, NASCAR broadcaster Kyle Petty had an interesting take. Despite the struggles, Petty said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that McFarland did what he needed to do. He ran every lap, and in the context of being a first-time starter, that matters. Climbing out of the car after the race, McFarland was still fired up and positive, celebrating the fact that despite all the chaos, they didn't wreck anyone else's race, and he came away with a ton of experience. And that experience matters, because now NASCAR has to decide something very important. Here's the big question hanging over everything right now. It will be up to NASCAR to decide whether McFarland's performance at Rockingham is sufficient to approve him for the April 25th O'Reilly Auto Parts Series race at Talladega Superspeedway. Talladega, one of the most dangerous, most unpredictable, most insane racetracks on the planet, superspeedway racing at almost 200 miles per hour, 35-plus cars inches apart at full throttle. If Rockingham was a test, Talladega would be an entirely different universe. McFarland had expressed his dream of racing at both Daytona and Talladega as part of his schedule with RCR this season, signing a deal to compete in a few races per year. He's currently slated for a 3-race deal this season. Now he's got experience and probably a lot more confidence after surviving Rockingham. The question is, will NASCAR sign off on letting him loose at a superspeedway? Stay tuned, because that decision could come very soon. So, there you have it, NASCAR World News family, the full breakdown of Cleetus McFarland's wild, chaotic, penalty-filled debut at Rockingham. A speeding penalty, multiple spins, getting taken out by his own teammate, and still finishing the race, still smiling, still fired up. Love him or hate him, you cannot deny that Cleetus McFarland brings eyeballs to NASCAR. He brings new fans, he brings energy, and whether he's ready for Talladega or not, the story isn't over. Drop a comment below. Do you think NASCAR should approve Cleetus for Talladega, or is it too soon? Let us know. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe to NASCAR World News for the fastest NASCAR coverage on YouTube. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story. Like this video if you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Let's go!